Hey, what's happening guys? It's first thing in the morning, the lights are all out. I've got the towel covering the Congo Tetra tank. The light's pouring in through my windows over the koi pond in the workshop here. So that's the reason why I put the towel over it. If you've got, obviously if you're in your house or you're trying to breed these anywhere else, and you can black the tank out before the early morning sun, try and do that, because sometimes they'll spawn just as the tank gets light and you might miss it. So this way you're guaranteed, as soon as you take that off, you know the lights just come on, and then you can go from there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to uncover this. I've got a few little bits trigged up across the top here to stop the towel falling in over the top and on the side. So I'm going to get back to you when that's off and I turn the light on, okay? Right guys, I've removed the towels. Everything's gone. You must, and really remove the towel slowly, okay? Because you're going to get some light, so you want that light to just peer in slowly into the tank. You can see it there on the right hand side. You can just see the female there. Can't see the male at the moment. So no doubt he's hidden amongst the spawning mops or somewhere over the night, and he's getting ready. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to carefully go up and turn the light on. And then slowly move away. Okay, so we've got the light on. The male's gone a little bit crazy down the bottom there, which is understandable first thing in the morning. Put him in late last night. He'll find her and hopefully calm down. A little bit of stir up going on. You can see how they're acting now. That's how, and what I was saying earlier, when you first put when they first go into spawning mode, and they do this around in the peat, and it literally just throws it up everywhere, absolutely covers everything. So that's the reason for using the peat ball and the spawning mops instead of the peat substrate. You can use it, nothing wrong with using it, but they lay the eggs in amongst it. Sometimes the eggs can get trapped under the peat, I've found, and you'll lose a few like that. So this is the way I do it. He's panting away a little bit there, but that's understandable. So I'm going to give them a little bit of time now. I'm going to press pause, and then if I see any action, I'll press play again and let you guys in on it, okay? You can see the courtship just starting now. The male's going into the plants above that subwasser tang there, starting to chase her around a little bit. Not sure if it's going to happen, but he's trying to get her down into that little patch just to the left hand side between the filter and that Java fern. These little fins are quivering away, and that's what they tend to do when they display before they come together. So I'm just going to let the old video play now and see what happens. You'll find what he'll do is he'll chase her around and around and around until she gets quite exhausted, and that tends to just arouse them enough between them before they start to spawn. So he's been chasing her around for quite some time now, so hopefully we'll see some spawning action shortly. There you go, hopefully going together. Nope, not that time. So you can see the little fins quivering away there. He's trying to encourage her in, get her nice and close, fluttering those little fins away, putting on his best show. But she's not ready to spawn yet. And there you go. Nice little cloud of eggs. I can see one on top of the filter. That was perfect. Thank you guys for showing us that. And hopefully we'll have a few more spawns. So I've just got to watch them now until they finish spawning. And then what I'll do is I'll remove them from the tank, then put them back into another tank, and then we can let these fry hatch out. I'll just see if they'll do another coupling together, just so you can see it again, just in case you didn't. What I'm going to try and do is extremely carefully is pan down onto that area where they're going, because that tends to be the favoured spot there. So they might go out of shot for a minute, but then hopefully they'll go back into that. He keeps trying to take her back into that little corner there, see? There you go. And there's a few more eggs released. Fantastic stuff. You can see one of the eggs float. I think that's one of the eggs floating down there. But they're going to float in amongst that. And then we can remove them. And that's why I've said before, guys, that's why it's super important to give them all that live food first. Feed them up prior in your community tanks before you put them into the breeding tanks. You really do condition them up well. As you can see, his scales are super shiny, really well conditioned. He's still actively trying to take her and bring her into that spawning mop on this side now. So she's not really, maybe they finished spawning. I mean, I've come in the workshop and I've caught them spawning. So they may have been spawning half an hour prior to this. So I haven't disturbed them by looking at the bottom or around them, the spawning mops with my magnifying glass yet, to see the eggs and to see how many they are, or there are, sorry, between on the on the mat, on the spawning mop, sorry, and on the Java moss and on that subwater tang down below. But he keeps trying to draw her into different areas to spawn. There he goes, trying to draw her in there. So maybe he's been spawning in there earlier. So I'm not really sure. But we shall see. But I'll give him a little bit longer. Okay guys, I think they finished spawning now. She's gone up to that corner. He's just sort of meandering around now on the in the mid water there. Asking you to subscribe to his channel. Thank you very much, he says. Thank you very much for that amazing display I put on for you guys. He said that's the least you could do. Yeah, I sure would appreciate it, guys, if you did support my channel and sub up. It'd be really nice. I really will appreciate it. And pop back and have a look at some of my other breeding videos if you're interested in that kind of thing. And you might, I might encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Anyway, guys, I think they've finished now. Like I said, he's quite happy there now. I'm going to actually have a look closer up and see. Now when they release those eggs, they're slightly sticky, so they will adhere to the fronds of the subwater tang, the leaves, even that peat ball. They may be stuck to that. I haven't been in close yet to see how many eggs have been deposited. Like I said just before, they may have been spawning. In fact, I think I can see an egg on the front of the spawning mop. So hopefully we'll get a good little hatch rate from this gang. And we'll get some nice little fry out for you guys to see. I can see quite a few eggs now on the glass on the front of the spawning mop. So they had been spawning before I turned up, which is a good sign, because she's looking a lot thinner than she did first thing. And that is normally the way, is when you go and make yourself a coffee or do anything and you look away from the tank, these things happen. That's why I spend so much time in the room here for you guys, so I can get this footage for you. And so you don't just see someone, you know, I like to do the whole process for you, as you can see from my other pictures and my other videos with the neons and the and everything. I try and take you right the way through from start to finish, so you can replicate these little breeding projects and bring on a little shoal of your own. And it's a fantastic feeling when you watch these things spawn. I mean, I've done it for years and years, and it never gets old. It really doesn't get old, and I get super excited every time I see them spawn. And it's so nice, especially now I'm doing it on camera, and it's like they're doing it on cue. The pygmy corries were absolutely amazing. As soon as I put those in the tank, they were away, which was brilliant. And you guys saw them carrying the eggs, the females carrying those little eggs around, depositing them on the leaves, on the underside of leaves, and the males chasing them around in that little T position when they're mating. And that was absolutely fantastic. They couldn't have done better. And it's lovely now being able to do all these videos and show you guys how to breed fish, because a lot of these books and a lot of people you see on YouTube, I mean, fair enough, they've all done a great little job of their little videos, but I never really see the start to finish videos on there. And that's what I'm trying to do with my channel, is give you a start to finish complete all the way through, so you can see them pairing up, putting the milk and the eggs together, the eggs hatching or hatch, and then feeding them through, and then getting them through to sub-adults. And it's nice for you guys to follow along. And I wish I had someone like me when I was first into the world of aquatics, because we only had books back in my day, and it was always or the old boy who lives down the road who breeds fish, and we was always knocking on his door asking him how to breed stuff, how do you do this, how do you do that, and he was good as gold. And I think that's where I've got it from. I just love to teach people how to do things, and try and put it across as best as I can for you guys, so you can understand it. It's not rocket science breeding fish. You've just got to recreate those conditions that they would have in the wild. If you keep your fish in a tank, in a community tank, once you put them into the breeding tank, you've just got to replicate and change those parameters. Fish will withstand a large range of parameters, but they're not going to breed in those parameters. They need specific conditions to breed. Like if you're keeping them in 7.2 pH water, you're going to have to drop that down to 6 to 6.5 before you'll kick that into gear. And by putting the peat in there, by using RO water, which is a softer water, or rainwater, which is softer, you're going to recreate those conditions, and you're going to get the success like we've been getting on this channel here. And it's going to give you a big boost, especially if you're, well, young and old. It's going to give you a boost, because once you start to see it happening for you, it'll really pick your interest up in the hobby. And it always makes me smile. And it's lovely to get the comments back from you guys saying that you've had a few neon fry, or you've had a few zebra danio fry come out, and you've never thought it was possible to do it, because they say it's impossible, that the neon eggs are completely light sensitive, and they're not going to survive, and all this kind of stuff. You don't want to put a bright light over a tank with any fry, but subdued light, that's what you want, or dappled light. That's why you always see me using a lot of surface plants, because that cuts down on the light, and then that gives those fish privacy. It gives them time to settle in amongst it, underneath it. They feel safe, and then they're going to breed, because that's what they get in nature. They'll go underneath the leaves, underneath lilies, wherever they are, different shading plants. That gives them that protection from above. They've got the plants from below, and they can hide in amongst it, and then let nature take its course. And when they feel happy and they feel safe in the right conditions, the right pHs, the right temperatures from these certain species, you recreate it. They'll only do what nature has designed them to do, and that's breed and carry on their genes, and carry on their new generations of little fry. Right, okay guys, I've removed the parents now from the tank, and here's one of the eggs there, look, as you can see on the spawning mop. There you go guys, I found you a nice little egg there right on the bottom of the glass. You still see some of the Artemia hopping around in there. They're not going to do any harm. They'll just be waiting for those little guys to hatch. I'm not sure if we've got any more around here on the bottom of the tank, but there's nothing else in here now which is going to predate on the eggs, and that's the closest I think I'll be able to get. Clearish anyway. You can see that tiny little dot in the middle there, which is going to turn into that little Congo Tetra. But there it is. As you can see, they're quite big eggs compared to that little brine shrimp there, which is to the left.
of the egg. They're quite big eggs, that's what I'm saying. They'll tackle bigger prey when they're born. So we can go straight onto the micro worms with these guys, which is going to be a lot easier to feed than the neons, and it saves you doing all that culture. My little shrimp in there as well. Now he's not going to touch any of those eggs. If any go mouldy, I always put a couple of little baby shrimp in there if I got them, because they will eat dead and decaying eggs, but they won't eat fresh, healthy eggs. There's nothing on them that they're really interested in, and don't forget that's a shell, so that the little embryo's actually growing inside of that egg. It's not the actual fish itself, and those little egg cases will split, and then that little baby Congo Tetra will pop out from in there. So if anything does go mouldy in there, that little guy will go along. There's only one, and he's like the little janitor, little caretaker in there now. He's going to go around and clean everything up. Alright guys, there you go. There's quite a few eggs in amongst that lot. If you look now, I've waited till the water's cleared a bit, and there is quite a few eggs. You've probably got, I don't know, maybe 100 eggs, could be 100. They're quite biggish spawners, but as you can see, they're right in amongst it. That's all we can see. Well, all I can see from here is, I've counted probably 60 or 70 in what I can see, so quite a few will be in amongst it. Now when these guys hatch, they like to hang around the spawning mops for a while as cover. So we had a few eggs as well deposited underneath there. Now what I've done is, to keep them off of the bottom, you can just see one little egg there floating past, I think, or maybe not. No, I don't think it was, but we had a few which were underneath the coconut hide and around the bottom there. So what I've done is, I've made this nifty little gadget up here, which is just a piece of airline on a tube. I can put one end in my mouth, and I can just go down like so, and then just suck very, very slightly, and it will just suck it up in that first bit of pipe, and then I've deposited it on top of the spawning mop. So we've cleared all the eggs now from around there. You don't have to do this, but I prefer to get them on the spawning mop up out the way, so they all sort of congregate together when they hatch, so we don't get little pockets of them everywhere. So we had a few around here, a couple on top of the sponge filter landed there, and a few underneath. So I've just put my turkey baster down the back there and puffed away, which has blown all the eggs forward, and then I've just picked them all up, maybe about 30 I would have thought, and I've deposited them in amongst that spawning mop, so they're all going to hatch at the same time. So now it's going to be about 4 to 5 days before they're going to hatch. Turn your air right the way down now, because there's nothing in there obviously creating waste anymore. You're not going to be putting any food in there for the next 5 days, so you can turn that pump down, keep that agitation of the water low but still filtering. So that's still going on, and as you can see with that debris, there's a very, very slight, from right to left, you can see the particles in the water just floating around, because you've got that very, very slow spiral action now flow going around the tank, and that's going to keep that nice and fresh for these little guys when they hatch out in around 5 days time. Right, okay guys, this is my infusoria culture, which I've had this one going now for probably about 2 weeks. You can see the water's gone nice and green with algae. It's got a right algae bloom in that, and that's what you want in the water. Now you see I put it up on around my shed, around the roof, and I've got it positioned on top of the tanks. I've got another one in the back there as well. Now you can feed green water as well for some of these smaller species, but the infusoria thrive on it as well, and they'll eat that green water. So will Daphnia. You put some Daphnia in there now and you'll see that go clear probably within 48 hours, probably even less than that. They'll eat all the algae that's in there that's growing. So that's another way of doing a culture as well, for green water, for feeding fry. They'll eat the little microscopic plants as well, which are growing, the little algae spores. But if we go right close to the top of this, you'll see the infusoria on the top. Now they're drawn towards the light. There they are. You can see now, if you've got a culture going, that's what you want to see. Hundreds and thousands of little infusoria, little micro life. Now that's your first fry food, like I said on my tetra breeding videos and all the other videos that I've made so far on this breeding series. That's going to be your first food, okay? Some of them it's only for a couple of days until they just get through that bit of a small stage, and then you can feed them bigger things like the water worms, microworms, banana worms, all that, vinegar eels, all that kind of stuff. But these little Infusoria are the perfect starter food, and they're all through the water column, but they are phototactic as well, which means they're drawn to light, and that's why they're up there by the strip light, because they've gone towards the light at the top. But you can see they're in their thousands there. So we have a little squeeze of those, a little pipette or a turkey baster or even a syringe. You can suck some out. Sorry, I'm shaking all over the place. And you can just squeeze that into the tank, and your little fry will feast on these little chaps and grow nice and quickly for you. Okay.
Right, okay guys, what I've done is I've just extracted a few of the eggs from the spawning mop, and because I don't want to put the light onto the main mop, obviously, because I think we've probably got about maybe 100 eggs in there. There's quite a few eggs in amongst that spawning mop, but I don't want to put the light in there as yet, because some eggs are quite light affected when you put the lights on them, and like tetra eggs, they don't really like to have too much light on them. So I've just got it's a brightish light above these now, but I just want to show you a few. Now this is day 2, okay. This video is obviously going to go out Wednesday, but this is the second day. If you watched the first Congo Tetra video, this is basically the second day, and already, if I zoom up, well, you can probably see the little guys moving. I'll try and get that one right in the centre of the screen there, and I'll zoom in on him. Or those two there. Now it's not going to be super clear, guys. I apologise for that, but you're going to see the little embryos in there just moving around. You can see those little tails wiggling there. They're in the main egg case, and inside you can see that tiny little wriggling tail of those baby Congo Tetras. Now the big ball underneath is the yolk sac, and what they do is, inside that egg case, they'll rapidly move their little tails backwards and forwards like you see a lot of other species do, and that's called like a wriggling stage. With cichlids and things, when you see them come out, or if you watch the bristlenose video, where you see they'll come out of that egg case and they wriggle that little tail like crazy, and what that does basically, it's just making muscle, it's building it up by moving. They're using that yolk sac up, that energy source is being used up, and that is making it grow by moving, by keeping fit and moving away. That allows that body to use those nutrients up, and for that little fry to grow. And this is only day 2. Now these eggs are going to hatch in around 5 days time, so this video is going to go out Wednesday, so I don't think we might get one out by then, maybe 1 or 2, but I think it's going to be still this larval stage, still in the egg, wriggling around. It's normally around 4 to 5 days where they're going to hatch. So we're Monday today, so I don't think we're going to have a hatch in time, but that'll be on when I come back from my trip. We can have an update on those little guys then, but it's just to show you what goes on in an egg case. I know it's not clear, I'll try and get it even closer, but it's going to be a bit grainy because I'm going through glass and I'm going through acrylic as well, so it's not brilliant, I'm afraid. But I've pulled out how many there. I think I can count. I've got some of the front as well, so I've got 3, 4, 5, I think there's about 6 in there in total. You can see some all right the way down here as well. But that's how quickly these little Congo Tetras start to hatch out. Now what I tend to do as well, guys, what I'm going to do now, I'll come back and I'll show you the tank as well. I might be able to get some pictures now of the spawning mop and all the other eggs in there as well. Right, anyway, so that's the little pot I put them in. You can see a few of them there, and what I've done is I've put some other plant life in there as well. Now what I've done as well is I've put some Indian almond leaves in here. You can see down there, I've just propped the wood on top of them, but I've got 3 in there now. They've released the tannins into the water, and you can see because the towel's white at the back, and that's gone a little bit, you've just got that tannin in the water. Now that tannin, the tannins and the properties that Indian almond leaves and leaves hold, oak leaves as well I use when I haven't got these Indian almond leaves, but I put them in there because they've got antibacterial and anti-fungicidal properties, okay, in the tannins.
So that's going to stop these eggs from getting mildewy in there, or, you know, really. So if you're looking amongst that spawning mop there, you can see quite a few eggs in amongst there, and that's just on one side, and there it's covered on the other side as well. You can see there's quite a few in there, and there's quite a lot which has fallen in amongst it, and I can see a lot of little wrigglers in amongst it. So we got, hopefully we'll have a pretty good hatch rate here. And I've just put, I put some extra stuff in there as well, some extra weed, some wassertang out of the old bench tank. I've got loads of that growing in there. That's a really good little plant to harbour life, micro life especially. Anyway guys, I hope you liked that little part 2 of how to breed them. You've seen them spawning now. I can see a lot more eggs now in amongst that spawning mop, so they must have been right diving into that earlier on when I wasn't watching. But you've seen a couple of spawns now with them coming together, releasing the eggs and sperms like a quick rub together, and then the eggs and the milt, or the sperm is released, mixed together in the water column, and then they sink in amongst the leaves, in amongst the substrate. And you can see, you can do it without peat on the ground. A lot of the old books say use a peat substrate, but you can use it as I've done there in that ball, replicate that, and you'll have a go. Anyway guys, as always, your stars, thank you very much for watching the video. Keep sending me your comments. Love listening to all your comments and your success stories. And if you're not having success, drop me a message as well, and maybe I can help you out, point you in the right direction, okay? Anyway guys, love you loads, you're all stars. See you on the next edition of Mark's Aquatics. Take care, bye for now.
Just me and my guitar.